Yay Media Group.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish Podcast. Fresh off my first half marathon.
You're a half marathonist.
I am, and lucky for y'all, we can stop talking about running almost because Fran still has to do his, but I haven't caught the running bug yet. I don't think. I'm proud. I'm very proud of myself. Happy I did it, I guess. But the whole way this worked out was so funny because I was like the person that wanted to do this the least. Like I had zero desire to do this when this conversation came up around the holidays. And you and our other couple friends were like, oh, we'll do a marathon or we'll do this half. And then you signed me up for the Nike. Then she got hurt at our house last week. She fell outside and was really injured. So she couldn't do it. So I went, wow, I'm really about to do this one totally alone. But I'm true to my word and I'm pretty like self-competitive. I was like,
Yeah,
I can
and
do
I think
this.
running, it's not a team sport,
No,
you
no, no, no,
know?
no. I know, but I mean, the whole point was like we would at least go together and start together. Yeah, we
Yeah.
weren't planning on running the whole thing together. I agree. It's a very individual. I mean, you're in it. And I felt very alone, despite the fact that there were like almost 9,000 women running in that. The weather was dismal. If you saw my quick little edit of video I put on Instagram, it was the weather in Mexico City. It's rainy season. It's also cold. It's not like it's hot and rainy. Well, you can see by what we're wearing right now. Francisco has on his winter jacket. This is your winter coat. And yeah, and I have on my like heavy cardigan I used to wear around the
Yeah.
holidays. So it's chilly and rainy. And, the cold weather I think is frankly pretty nice for running, much preferable to hot and sun. But it was raining from the moment I started and getting in that line. And Fran like got out of the traffic and you waited for me to kind of start. And 13.1 miles. Wow. I think I blacked out for some of it. It was soaking wet. I mean, within half a mile, I'm in a puddle, ankle deep. I went, oh, fuck. This is about to be a lot. Like it was not how I envisioned, this nice
I
evening
think we
run.
both run a different marathon that day. Like you were running with your feet and we were trying to run to chase you to see you. And
Y'all are crazy. My mom's like, oh, we were so cold and wet and out in the cold. I was like, yo, I ran 13 miles.
yeah, but you were running, when you have the adrenaline and you're running and you're getting wet, like I've never run more than 15K, and that was like last month with you. But I've done endurance riding in a motorcycle, and I've been in the wet for 6 hours. And once you're in it, I feel like you become a little numb. Not running, maybe.
I didn't feel that way. I didn't get sweaty and warm. But there was this element of I don't know, y'all. I don't know if this helps you get through something, but I was like, I'm just fucking doing it. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. By mile 6, my knee hurt, my shins hurt. I went, oh, wow. So, is this what happens when you do a run like this? You just start to hurt a lot and you just keep going, right? I guess until you absolutely can't do it anymore. So, I couldn't believe it. I mean, somewhere between I would say like mile 7 to 11. I don't remember a whole lot of that. There was kilometer markers obviously at every kilometer. So when I saw that 20-kilometer, I only saw y'all at mile 4, and I was like, I stopped for a minute or two and was like, okay, I got to keep going because I have a lot of race ahead of me. And I kissed y'all, gave you a hug, said bye. I thought I'd see you again, and then I got to that kilometer 20 and was like, wow, I only have one more kilometer, which I know is less than a mile. So I just started trucking it. And then I ended up in Estadio Olimpico, which was like where they had the Olympic Stadium. And I didn't know that's how the race ended. So you enter and your last 400 meters, you do one lap around that track to the finish line. I just started tearing up because I was like, I fucking did this by myself. Like, I'm so proud of myself because I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to finish, like without
Yeah.
walking. And I didn't walk. I mean, unless there were moments where I had to because it was so muddy and it was so bottlenecked and crowded. But like, I really didn't walk. I just ran and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, physically just, I've never felt that way before. So yeah, I kind of started tearing up and, crossed that finish line. And like, then I just had to find y'all in the car somewhere because it was pouring down rain and freezing. And I got a poncho in my
It was
medal.
it
And
was so unfortunate because we had grand plans to see you in different points,
yeah,
but there was so many people.
yeah.
There was so much traffic, and it was pouring rain. Remy was soaked, like everybody was soaked, and
I
Would
had like no cell phone service. They weren't at the finish line. I couldn't find them. They were in the car. Remy was asleep, but it was fine because it's such a personal challenge that like y'all were there in spirit. And I mean, but it
no,
really
we were there in
is.
person. We just couldn't go inside.
It was really just
Great
like
spirit.
such a I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just it's a personal challenge. It's like you against yourself, and you got to just want it and do it, and I'm never going to do it again.
I
So,
don't believe that.
I physically hurt a lot right now. Like I have this heating pad, my rice pad, and my shins hurt, my knees hurt. I feel old. But yeah, I think, wow, I don't know. I wouldn't say I recommend doing that because I know a lot of you that listen are like, oh my God, running, Jenna, like you're talking about running. I hate to run because I get it. I do understand because I kind of feel that way. I think it's less about the actual running as more of what I feel that it's really cool to set a goal for yourself regardless of what it is, because my next goal now is like fluency in Spanish, which is obviously a much more long-term goal of taking lessons and practicing, and I can't do that in a 12-week period of time. But I think setting tangible goals for yourself, whether it is, I mean, it could be a weight loss goal, it could be just a nutrition goal, it could be a reading a couple books a month, right? Like whatever it is to kind of better yourself. I think that I've gotten away from that over the years. And I think it's really amazing, actually, kind of that confidence that it gives you and that accomplishment. Like, I felt kind of badass, and I haven't felt that way in a long time. I think motherhood just kind of strips you down of your confidence in a lot of ways. Like, you don't feel good at being a mom, you don't feel like yourself anymore as a woman. And so for me, it was like, wow, women also fuck, like women are amazing. There's women out there that had just had babies that are running and an hour faster than I ran. And I think that's just so cool to see a bunch of women out there running. It makes you kind of emotional because you're like, this is just so cool. It's so cool that so many people are doing something like this because it really is really, really difficult. And I know it's just a half. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Another.
I guess I can't imagine the difficulty of training and the accomplishment feeling of doing a full marathon, but I don't know if that's in the cards for me. I think I'm in too much pain right now to say, okay, let's run again. And certainly to go on a run with no reason to go, that you're not training for something. It sounds ridiculous. But anyway, I think that's kind of my take on it is maybe there's something you've been wanting to do and it sounds pretty daunting, but you might be able to achieve it. And it is worth it. The feeling in the end is like, I just felt I didn't sleep the whole night. I was
I
like,
know.
wow, like I can't believe I did that.
That is so amazing. Those are the things that when you accomplish it, you feel like bulletproof. And we're very proud of you, just so you know.
Thanks.
Like I I was nervous. I never had my doubts. I knew you were about to finish it.
Yeah,
Um,
but maybe
because
a
you're
bit
very
slower.
consistent. Not
What?
to say stubborn. I like to
Yeah,
say consistent.
sure, stubborn.
And
Yeah.
but and we're so proud. Just bottom line, like Remy was really like he understood what you were doing, and like it was such an amazing experience. Even though the traffic and whatever happens, I was very bummed that I couldn't see you cross the finish line, but you did it.
I thought that they were there in the stadium because they had let friends and family into the stadium for that. And when I got there, it kind of opened up, and I was like, I still had gas in the tank, so I feel like I could have done the whole thing a little bit faster. So I just sprinted. I had been saving some energy because I didn't want to be dying at the end. I sprinted that 400. I swear I did it at like I think it was like a 640, 650, maybe, I don't know, something like that pace for that 400 meters. I was flying,
Wow.
and I was like thinking that they were there in the stands watching me. Like that's what got me through because I was like, oh my God, if they spotted me and they're watching me, they're seeing me sprint. And then come to find out y'all weren't in there, but it still like motivated
Yeah,
me
but we
thinking you
were
were
there. Like
watching.
we, we were there.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know.
No, it's okay. But anyway, I don't know. I think it was also really nice to do that then after like going to the doctor yesterday and being reminded of my age. And then you were like, well, you just did a half marathon, so you should feel pretty good about
Yeah,
your body
and it's just
physically.
about that. Like I think our biological clock has chapters, and because one closes doesn't mean that you're about to die.
It's a bit easier though to say as a man because y'all are what we're speaking about now is I needed to find an OB here. We've obviously been open about maybe, I mean, we haven't officially decided, do we want to try for another kid and do I have to do the IVF again? And Obviously, women, it can be, for those of us women that have fertility issues, it's a more complicated process. And we do have three healthy embryos that are sitting frozen somewhere in Dallas, Texas. And we thought we'd start exploring, what does that look like? Like, can I get pregnant naturally? Should we do some stuff, like that? Should I just get a checkup? Obviously, see my fertility levels now that I'm 41. I haven't really done that since I was 35. And then kind of start exploring the process with the embryos if we have to go the route of IVF. And I was in the middle of the appointment, and it's all in Spanish. And like the one moment of English, he was just like, "So, how old are you?" 41. And he stopped. He's like, "You're 41?" Which I was like, I thought maybe he was just like, well, she looks pretty good for 41. I was thinking maybe that's where he
You
was
look
going
really
with
good for
it. But he
41.
was like, "So, your chances of conceiving naturally right now are at about 3 or 5%. Francisco goes, 35%? I was like, no, I was pretty certain. He said 3 to 5. Yeah. So he said, no, by 41, 3 to 5%. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I know that it's very unlikely as you get older. I think it's just hard to accept that that's true because I just ran a half marathon. Like, I'm pretty healthy. Like, I don't look 41, maybe I look 35 or whatever, right? But I like to think that maybe I'm healthy, maybe it's possible, which I think is so naive of me because I didn't even get pregnant naturally for Remy and we went through IVF. But I just guess, you hear about women, I was 45 and got pregnant and da 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 da. And I think you just hope that maybe you're one of those. And after going through IVF, I hoped that maybe I could just like naturally get pregnant after having Remy. And I just really didn't want to go through IVF again because it's expensive, it's painful, it's hard, it's emotional, it's a lot of things, right? I hadn't wrapped my head around that, and for whatever reason, it really struck me, like, almost to the point that I, like, cried a little bit after the appointment because I think it's just so shitty, that as women, we've evolved so much in terms of just, like, our abilities and career and having children later, but biology is what it is. Like, at some point, you just can't as likely have a child naturally. And then we were told like there's a lot of difficulty, obviously, with the embryos, like with crossing borders and like our options with that. And it's just not quite what we thought or hoped to hear. So we'll kind of tackle that one step at a time. But I felt old, I haven't felt old. I think turning 40 and 41, you kind of have a moment of like, okay. Like I didn't have it at 30. I was thrilled to be 30. 40, I was kind of like, all right, but I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like we have Remy and life is great. And I feel good about who I am and where I'm at in life. But there's still that moment of like, wow, I'm like all dried up inside.
But yeah, it's like the mere fact that women have the opportunity to build life
Yeah.
itself is amazing. Like we men, we're never gonna be able to feel what it feels to make life, to create arms and legs and eyes and hair,
It's amazing.
you
It
know?
is. It's just scientifically, it's so
So
amazing.
that is something that like I think women is they're so you guys are so amazing and the capability to do that it's so crazy.
I've thought a lot. We just got this news. I mean, it hasn't even been 24 hours. It's been like 12 hours. And I can't stress enough to you listening if you are, in your 30s especially and thinking you don't know if you want kids or you're not in a relationship. Freezing my eggs was just like by far and away one of the best personal decisions I've ever made in my life. Whether we decide to have another kid or not, whether it works out for us or not, just even getting Remy and knowing that even right now, that if I really wanted another child, that I do have three, because he told me if I went through the egg retrieval in the process again at my age, I would be lucky to get one or two healthy eggs. Which, if you know anything about this process, I had 17 healthy eggs just to yield 5 embryos, which is a stellar amount, I think, according to, a lot of women that have gone through this. A lot of women, that you do this, you get like 1 egg or 2, and then after this whole process of turning them into embryos, you're left with none that are healthy. And then you have to do another egg retrieval. So he said, I'd have to do 3 egg retrievals, right, just to get a couple of eggs. And wow, that's hard to hear, so like, oh my gosh, if you have maybe you have a daughter or you are of that age listening and you're like, should I freeze my egg? Should I do it? If you can make it work. Wow, what a savings account of life, I mean, what a savings
Give
account
that
that
as a
gives you.
gift to yourself for sure. I think that is a great advice.
I did it for my 35th birthday, remember? And I had an opportunity to do a part of that procedure for free because of my radio position and the endorsement. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to stop my life down and do that, because I felt not ready to have a kid and to go through that. It's like that egg retrieval part's difficult and the medicine and the hormones and you gain weight and all of it fucking sucks, to be quite honest. But wow, like look at us now. I would have never had Remy. I would have never even had maybe this opportunity to do it again if I want to go down this road. So anyway, I just like cannot. I've been thinking so much since this appointment last night, Fran. I haven't even said to you, like, wow, I'm so glad I did that because I think you just think, oh, I'll figure it out later.
And
But
the
there's
mere
not a later.
fact that, like, that is the best thinking ahead, like thinking on your future self and your future needs, because
Money can't buy it either.
you,
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like that's something
you
money can't
have
buy.
embryos that were done with your eggs at 35. So you have
Yeah, they're
like
young.
your past embryo. It's just a crazy thought to have something from the past that is still fresh and still like having embryos frozen for me is a mind fuck, but
It is, right? Like
a mega
it's
mind fuck.
totally crazy to think that Remy was just for a couple of years in there, like on ice. And, you know, but it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Science is amazing. And what a gift it's given to so many of us that haven't been able to do it. But yeah, I do. I feel, I don't know, I'm trying not to stick on it too much, but I do feel it is. And I know there's a lot of you listening that probably have a shared experience to this, but it is a weird thing, especially being here in Mexico, surrounded by so many women that not only are they younger than me, but there's something about
You
women in
look
Mexico.
at them and they get pregnant.
Yeah, like you breathe on them and they're just like, "Oh my God, I got pregnant again with my fourth." And I don't feel like jealousy or resentment, but I feel this sense about it's more inward about myself of like, wow, what an experience to like just get pregnant, without having to think about it and try and go through all of this and spend all this money and the pain and the injections and the medicine and worrying and all of that, and it's like that's a life experience that I'll never get. However, how lucky I am that I even get an opportunity. I think you kind of have to look at where you're at and know the perspective of how lucky I am, right? It goes back to my
And
mantra of like, anyway, what?
no, like, what's your mantra?
Remember, like, how
I don't
lucky.
remember your mantra, but I don't know if you have shared with our
I
audience.
think all of us probably have a tendency to feel a bit negative, right? Sometimes about our circumstances in life and where we're at, whether it's physically or financially or with your family and relationships or whatever may be going on with work and things like that. And I think it's really helped me a lot in life, even running. I should have trained more. I wish I could have run faster. I wish I felt healthier. But it's also like, how lucky I am to be physically able to run, how lucky I am to, again, have a mom that I have here to take care of. That's that mantra of just like reminding yourself of how lucky we are,
Yeah.
in moments of frustration and stress. How lucky I am to even have one, but I think it is a big deal for women. I think it was always really, I always said I wanted two children. And if that's not in the cards for me, you don't want to sound ungrateful that you only were able to have one, but I think it is also okay to have feelings to process about maybe what you dreamed of, right? That maybe what you wanted or what you envisioned doesn't work out that way. So to kind of work your way through that.
Yeah. Um, it was a bittersweet situation we had yesterday in our doctor's appointment. But if something I took out of it is the exactly what you said, how lucky we are to have Remy, because we have him. Like, whether we're gonna have another one or not, we had an amazing, wonderful child that just, it's a bundle of joy. He just keeps bringing joy.
I suppose I feel sometimes sad, and I'm sure a lot of you that have only had one kid may feel that way sometimes, that I didn't enjoy that first year enough because I felt it to be frankly overwhelming and stressful and tiring and scary and more negative feelings sometimes than positive because I was freaked about everything, right? Postpartum and physically how I felt and was he okay every second? And it was just a lot, right? And I've always said, oh, if I do it again, as most women say, they actually are much more chill with like the second pregnancy and the second baby because you just kind of know what to expect. You're more relaxed about the whole thing. And I think I always kind of wanted that idea. And also additionally, I was an only child. So I didn't love it. I didn't love it. And as an adult, more. As a kid, I didn't know any different. But as an adult, we've talked about this. I don't love being an only child now as an adult, so I think I had maybe hoped to offer him a bit of a different experience in that way.
Yeah.
Even though he came up to me last night and he's like, kids are so funny, he needed to go potty. He went potty and I said, hey, I'm about to leave. I have to go to the doctor. He goes, what's wrong? Where are you hurt? And I said, well, I'm not hurt. I go, but I'm going to a girl doctor. We talk about, how mama has girl parts and you have your boy parts. And he was like, okay, well, was your girl parts hurt? I was like, no, but we go, I get a checkup and he does some tests and he checks me out. And we talk about if maybe you could have a brother or a sister. He goes, a baby. He goes, no, I'm the baby. I said, okay, well, Papa and I will take that under consideration. Babies cry. Yeah, the babies do cry. That was the first time he's like resisted the idea of a baby because every time he talks about it, he wants a baby brother. He does not want a baby sister. He wants a baby brother. But
I think it shows his stage
yeah,
cognitive wise. Like
kind of now,
he's like,
yeah. Mm,
oh, that doesn't sound like fun.
yeah, wait, baby. And then
They
this morning, grandma was
cry.
like, you have to share your stuff. He's like, you could see his brain processing, like,
Not happening.
sharing things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, so as always, we'll keep y'all posted, as we kind of work our way through all of this and see. And yeah, it is what it is. We'll see. Which it's also weird because it's like, God, having another baby, like that first year, and it's so expensive and so tiring and so stressful. It's so hard. What am I even
I
thinking?
don't think I slept more than 4 hours
Oh
a
my
day.
gosh, I didn't in the beginning, and then when you kind of took over the wake ups in the middle of the night to let me sleep more, like you didn't sleep at all. You were a zombie
I
for
don't
like
think
a
I've
year.
slept for more than 5 years, for more than 5 hours in
But look
about
at
three
you,
years.
you're already sleeping with the other one every night. So yeah.
We need to change that.
Uh-huh.
Things that I haven't figured out how the transition is gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Remy came into our room the other night. This is how our life is at night. Francisco puts him down. Sometimes Francisco falls asleep and then wakes up a few hours later and then I'm already asleep, right? Like once Fran spends over an hour and doesn't return to the room, I just go, okay, I'm going to go to bed early. So Francisco came back. We've been watching this show Sirens on Netflix. We finished it. It was good. We liked it.
really
We would
good.
recommend it. It was a good little show. Also, like I love all the actors and actresses in it. But so Fran and I are trying to finish the show and it's in a good spot and I hear down our hallway and I'm like, we act like we're little kids in trouble. Francisco immediately, like the first thing you did was turn off the television. Remy is sound asleep
And hide
almost.
the chocolate raisins.
And the chocolate raisins, they're like hiding the candy, turns off the TV. Remy's like a dark shadow in the doorway, and he's like, it is not time to watch a movie. It is bedtime. And Francisco's like acting like he's the little kid in trouble. You like pick up your phone and charger and your water, and you pick him up, and he like falls back asleep on Fran's shoulder, and off they go to Remy's room. So that's like what our nights are like right now because we never sleep train. And then Fran goes and sleeps with Remy every single night. Sometimes it's at
And
11, sometimes it's at 3.
I know we have mixed opinions about this, but
By mixed, Fran means we feel completely different about how we should have gone about sleep with Remy. We don't fight about it though.
our kid is very confident. Our kid feels love. I never would have been able. Maybe if we have a second, I would let that one cry to sleep. But I never let Remy cry to sleep because I never want him to feel abandoned, you know. I never want him to feel like, oh, this is what life is. You just have to cry to sleep. Like you're gonna have plenty of nights that you're gonna cry to
It's fair,
sleep.
friend. Like, I get it. I mean, I don't feel it's not that I don't agree to a certain level, but I think when I'm kind of the type to listen to a lot of other moms, and when like a lot of other moms that parent similarly to me, it's not like, oh, we let him cry it out when he was 3 weeks old. It's not like that. Like, I was kind of ready to do it at like 9, 10, 11 months old, like way later than we even should have. So just for the self-soothing, because he doesn't have great sleep habits, like even the napping was tough, and the waking up at 5 a.m. all the time, and like his sleep is never, it's probably always been kind of the worst part of our parenting journey, has been kind of the sleep issues, which I know all kids are different and a lot of parents go through this, but it's okay. We don't argue about that anymore because you do it. I think it would have been a different story if you didn't want to sleep train, but then I was like getting up with him every night, but you do it.
Yeah.
So it's just hard when you go out of town and he's like, where's Papa? I don't want you. And it's like 3 a.m. And I'm like, you fucking got me. Like, I don't even want to sleep with you either, And it's like this whole thing in the middle of the night, because then I don't sleep because I like get so stressed. Like when he's sleeping, like he kicks me and he's an alligator. And sometimes he just like fucking punches me in the head. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I
I
hate
think I
it.
just became numb of
Oh
that,
my gosh. I don't even
because
know how.
sometimes I wake up and like I literally has have his foot in my mouth.
I
And
know.
like he has nightmares, like very vivid nightmares, and he just starts like punching and kicking, just punching and kicking and start crying. And that's like, and as I try to hold him, he tries to punch me, like as like he still asleep, like I was like, dude, chillax.
I'm terrified for your next out of town trip. Yeah. Anyway. Well,
We're doing great.
we're doing great. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you soon. Bye.